Welcome back to another Race Weekend Canada's F1 podcast. My name is Dames Nellis, joined by team manager for Pro Racing Ontario, Daryl Timmers.
Hello, sir. Hello. How are you?
How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. You know, leading into the big MRFKC weekends. Came off a strong Mika weekend, so I'm pretty happy. You know?
For those of you that don't know, he's talking kart racing. He's a team manager. If you're trying to get on track and you're in and around the GTA, be sure to hit Daryl up on social media or just go online and search up Mosport Karting Center, and Daryl will be sure to get you out on track. Before we talk F1, we want to send a big shout out and belated Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers in our lives. You know, we were racing yesterday. I was just saying,
hi, Mom.
Your mom was there, my mom was there,
Yeah.
Your wife was there, my wife was there,
Yeah.
Your mom, like
we had everyone there. Giving roses out left, right, and center.
Yeah, and it gets difficult when you're racing, or
Yeah.
you're coaching, or you're just busy working and all that. So one more time to all the mothers out there who are also F1 fans tuning into this Happy Mother's Day. We hope you enjoyed the day. And with that being said, the first Miami Grand Prix is in the books. Daryl Timmers, what did you think of the event?
Honestly, wow. Like the venue, the whole atmosphere just seemed unreal. Like I wish I was there, to be honest. It was I had a couple friends there, and it was just everything that they post about. It was a really cool, well put together event. I think the lineup of celebrities, the lineup of people that were there, just the atmosphere alone, just having, being in the presence of such a historic race or historic new race, I should say. It definitely upped the ante for everyone else to host a race now. And there was obviously some growing pains throughout the weekend and leading up to the race. But I think if they can perfect this location, it's going to be one of the biggest races of the year.
That's one thing about America. America does it big.
Yeah.
Like they had a party that they streamed on YouTube before, like Thursday night.
Yeah.
And then, it's Miami.
Yeah.
The vibe was there. It's hot. Look at this. The update is in progress.
Oh.
Okay, Bezos.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Yeah. So we'll let that go there. Don't worry about that. But yeah, overall, I would say it was a smash event. I don't know if the race lived up to the rest of the weekend, but it got me thinking, like, is this the initial phases of F1 turning into WWE? Because it's like you got all this big hoopla, and then in the end, you know who's gonna win.
Exactly. Well, I think this is definitely a great step for North America and F1. It showed that the fan base is there. It was sold out crowd. There was unbelievable amount of support for the whole series, the support races, everything, and it was just a really good vibe from all the spectators and everything around there. So I think this could be the start of something really, really big in North America, and it kind of put a stamp on why there are 3 races in the States in 2023. If this is the fan base and this is how many people are going to be attending the races, and a bunch of the other races can't even get half the amount of attendance or attendees, this is kind of why the new owners have seen the market and they're capitalized on it.
There's a few things working in its favor. Obviously, the owners are American.
Yes.
Their entertainment company, the Netflix series, which was renewed for season 5 and 6. That's growing the sport exponentially. Like, there's no real data on it, but you can tell.
Oh, everyone can
tell because, when you think about the races, you think from a purist level. You and I, we enjoy the sport, we know the sport, but then there's all these fans on the periphery who are just kind of getting in because they realize the drama and it's interest them and it's piqued interest. So all of these things accompanied with the race, whether that be the concerts, whether that be the guests in attendance, because that celebrity list was long.
It was wild.
My goodness.
Yeah.
And then you talk about Miami, the next one is going to be Vegas, which is going to be probably even crazier. A night race through the streets of Vegas.
Vegas is Vegas already.
Exactly. I was watching this with one question and one question in mind only. Canada, we have the Grand Prix in Montreal.
Yep.
Could Toronto host an F1 event?
I think they could. Obviously, the structure needs to be kind of built up a little bit more. Downtown roads, stuff like that. Kind of like, that track that they had there this weekend was pretty much paved the entire way, brand new. So to do something like that in Toronto is definitely doable. It's just going to take a good amount of infrastructure and money to kind of prep something like that, where, down by the Indy track right now, it could definitely be retrofitted into an F1 track to make it a little bit longer, because the Lakeshore is a long street. You can still get into exhibition. There's a bunch of other track layouts that can be brought up. I think it was back in the 70s that 70s or 60s, they tried to do the race in downtown Toronto, and it was projected before it was moved to Montreal. Mm-hmm. So there's definitely a possibility of it happening. You never know. I think it would be a great thing for Canada to have it in the city of Toronto. We already have a race fan base with the IndyCar atmosphere, and I think, like you said, with everything happening with Drive to Survive, the audience I know around me anyways, like just with my family and friends alone, has increased substantially. So I think I think it's possible. I think if we started a petition, we can get it going.
You know what? We don't even need to do all of that. I'm going to give you the straight goods right here, and then we'll move on to the actual race. F1 is one post or tweet or social media, anything away from coming to Toronto, and it's Drake. Yeah. As soon as Drake jumps on and he goes, yo, I'm watching this, or yo, this is going like this, that's when we'll get it. But hey, man.
Drake.
Drake, come on now. Let's do this, man.
Start tweeting.
Start tweeting, do whatever. You're Champagne Poppy. They serve champagne on the podium. It makes perfect sense.
You can be the host.
Exactly. Now, speaking of podiums, we're looking at it. We're looking at Verstappen P1, Leclerc P2, and Carlos Sainz P3. Out of the three of them, this weekend made the biggest impact on who?
I think Carlos needed that. I really do. He's had such a rough go for the last two races, and he needed this. He needed to bounce back. He needed to show the team that, these small errors that have been happening in the last couple of races were just hiccups.
Even this weekend. Yeah. He parked it in the barrier.
He did, but a lot of people parked it in the barrier this weekend.
Yeah, that's true. Everyone, prayers up to him, because from what he was saying in the post-conference, his neck is still a little bit sore, and I think Ocon, who also put it off in the same area, was going through some physical stuff too. Yeah. So, but for
him to bounce back and show the team why he's the number two at this point driver, and why they extended his contract, and why all those unanswered questions are answered now, to say, look, he's on the podium. He held Perez off that entire race. He didn't have he wasn't in the ideal situation to hold off Perez when that restart happened.
Right.
And he did it. He did what he needed to do, and he kept them behind, and it shows why he's such a great F1 driver.
Can we talk corner one move from Verstappen over Sainz, though?
Yeah. I think it was like a combination of Verstappen being Verstappen and going like, I'm going in. And Sainz was like, oh, I'm just going to go home. Wow, Max is there. And I don't know. I think
it was a hell of a move.
It was a hell of a move.
Let's be honest, because when they showed the onboard replays, it wasn't like Sainz got a bad start.
No, he didn't.
He got a good start. It wasn't a great start. It wasn't a blistering start. But it was a solid P2 start. You know what I mean? But Verstappen just hung it out there, man.
He went in deep into one and hung it around the outside, and I think it kind of caught Sainz off guard, and he just like, okay, well, I got to let this guy go now. And, again, he might not have protected that P2 going into turn one, but he was able to protect through P3 for the rest of the race, and it's good.
And it wasn't long after that before Verstappen made the move on Leclerc.
Yep.
Top end speed of the Red Bull is there.
Yes.
What is the counterpunch right now for Ferrari?
They've got to do something with the straight line speed. It seems like they're just concentrating on keeping the car stable in the low speed stuff. The car is still porpoising. It's not like it stops. They're just kind of dealing with it and racing with it. And even Leclerc, halfway through the race, was like, this car is hard to drive. He still set the fastest lap, but he was like, this is hard to drive. So they're not they are fast, but I think they have to figure the straight line aero out, because even in the DRS, it wasn't like he had much on Max. He was just kind of sitting there, like, to hold them in DRS. It wasn't like he was gaining on him down the straightaway. And when Max is in their DRS, it looks like he has a set, like an 8th gear or 9th gear pulling down the straightaway,
Right.
So I think right now they need to kind of look at the car and be like, okay, we have the low speed stuff sorted out. What can we do to compensate a little bit more of a high speed car or a straight line speed car? Because right now, yes, they have the low speed a little bit over Red Bull, but the delta between their low speed over Red Bull and the delta between Red Bull's straight line speed over Ferrari is a big difference. So,
and the other thing about it too is what I've noticed over the past couple of races, sprint race included, is the wear on the tires. Like when you had, so we know the Ferrari has engine, the power unit is strong. If you look down the grid, all the Ferrari powered teams are doing pretty well. Like most of them are probably punching above their expectancy at this point. But that porpoising and that bouncing up and down the straight wears the tire out, and we saw it, yesterday. They came on the radio in Miami Grand Prix and they were saying, it was Red Bull saying, look out for the front right.
It looks like we can see where. Yeah.
So that was almost the opportunity to pounce. So if without them getting to the bottom of that or figuring it out, then they have another problem that they can't manage the race, no matter where they're at, whether they're in first or second or 10th. They just won't be able to manage the race. So
I think if Sainz didn't drop back to P3, it would have been a little bit of a buffer for Leclerc to start getting away from Verstappen a little bit more. But because Verstappen kind of had that start, which put him in a great position, and he was able to capitalize on being right behind Leclerc. So I think there was a couple of different situations that kind of put them into that. But it's racing. You can't just say this is how it's going to happen out of turn one, because there's 10 or 11 different scenarios that are going to come through, and you saw this one, and it ended up being Verstappen coming out of turn one in P2.
Rolls into our next conversation, which is Mercedes. George Russell finishes P5 again. This year, 5 races, hasn't finished outside of the top 5, even though he started 12th. I thought he had a fantastic race, and it really boiled down to his decision-making. He decided, hey, I want to roll the dice here. The team allowed him to roll the dice, and it worked out in his favor. Like, what could we say about George Russell right now?
He's for the situation he's been in all year, he is on fire. Like,
he certainly is.
Like he is showing everyone, like, look, this is why I got the seat. It wasn't because I am Toto Wolff's my manager. It's not because anything else except I am talented. Yes, I have a lot of things in a lot of ducks in a row to make me get that complete package. But in the end, he still has to be talented enough to drive the thing. There's a lot of people that can have all the everything in a row, but they don't have the talent to prove it. And Russell is showing that now. He's showing that I had the speed. He was 17th or 16th after lap 1.
Yeah, they both dropped down 5. Quite a bit. Yeah.
So it just shows, Mercedes is having faith in them, because a lot of drivers and a lot of teams, if a driver says I'm doing this and it's not exactly what the team wants to do, they'll say no. And if George wants to do something, at this point they're trusting him enough to say, yeah, you want to try that? Let's do that.
Well, I liked it a lot because, first off, it kind of shows you that there isn't really any favoritism there. And we've been talking over the past however many podcasts. He should be the number 1 driver right now because he's putting most points on the board for the team. So I like that. But the second part was, I like the willingness of George Russell to give them the piece of information, and Mercedes as a team say, you know what, we're going to roll the dice a little bit, because traditionally they've been so dominant for so long, they haven't had to take many risks. But now that they're out of pocket a little bit and they're kind of in no man's land, like, they're just like, sure, why not? And in the end, it did work out. I mean, not for Norris and Gasly coming together, it might not have happened. But George was like, look, man, let's just wait to see if a VSC happens, because what's the worst that can happen? I come in on the last lap and finish 12th. I started 12th.
Yeah, it doesn't matter in the end. And you see it right now with Mercedes, even with the radio communications with Lewis. You can see that he, they asked him, what do you want to do, pit or what? He's like, you tell me. And it's like, well, Lewis, for so long you were so confident about overpowering your radio. What's happening right now that you're turning back to Bono and being like, hey, no, you tell me what I should do. I don't know what I should do. You can just tell that he's not 100% there this year. He's not so confident that he's like, no, I'm doing this. How many times did the team, we're pitting, and he's like, no, I'm not, and stayed out. Or, hey, stay out, and he's like, I'm not staying out, and he would pit. Now they're like, he's questioning everything, and I just don't know what it is, but he needs to get his head back in the game.
Or is it just that he's relying on them so much because he thinks they know, like, he can't come to grips with the car, so he's putting the most amount of trust into his engineers, and there's so many different ways to look at it.
I agree. It's weird to see him just constantly complaining and second guessing himself.
Yeah.
I feel like before it was like he would never second guess himself. He would have that train of thought in the car, and they would say something that would contradict what he wants, and he's like, nope, do this.
Yeah.
And now it's like the fact that they asked him what tires, like, should we pit to do this, and he was like, well, you tell me. It's like, I've never heard him say that over the radio.
Right.
He was so kind of lost. Like, you could hear it in his voice. He's like, I just don't know what to do. Like, you tell me what to do. And they're like, okay, we say stay out. He's like, okay.
Yeah, and he's the guy who's good at managing the tires. Like,
I honestly, when I saw that VRS, me being an outside person looking in and not having 100% of the information, I was like, pit.
Yeah, why didn't he come in there?
I said pit. Anyone outside of the top 4, pit. All day long.
Get onto a fresh softs or mediums or whatever.
Get into softs. You have 15 laps left. And then the safety car didn't go until like 10 laps to go. Pit. Like, what are you doing? You have a chance that there might be a full safety car. You know that it's half the time that you're going to lose in the pits. And pit.
But this has also plagued him.
Yeah.
If you go back last season, last race, I get it. Track position. I mean, in the end, we all know what happened, and hindsight is always 20/20. Yeah. But this goes back to what I was saying with Russell and Mercedes as a team. It's like he's willing to roll the dice.
Yep.
Right? Whereas Lewis, like you're saying, he just might be so lost that he doesn't know. Yeah. He doesn't even know what cards he has to play.
No. Like, he's not confident right now.
Yeah, he's not confident. He needs to get it back. He needs to have a good weekend. And to be honest, I did think he had a good weekend.
He did.
I think he had a good enough weekend for what he was given. It's just the caveat was his teammate finished ahead of him.
That's the big thing. As soon as because they made Russell give the spot back after the first pass, but the second pass it was like it was going to happen. Yeah. When Russell was on fresh tires and he's not, it's like, well, you're a sitting duck. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to beat your teammate at this point, and you saw how easy it was for Russell to get around him, and he's not going to battle Russell because Russell's beating him in points.
Right.
And the team's not going to tell him to stay behind Lewis because Russell's beating him in points.
Exactly.
So you're a sitting duck at that point.
Yeah, man. No, in all seriousness, we've talked about George Russell every show this year, and it just. I didn't have much hopes for him going into the race just because of the car and his starting position. He still managed to pull it out. So shouts out to him for a great drive. 2 other great drives that we noticed. Alex Albon and Lance Stroll. Canadian. They both had strong weekends. What do you make of that?
I think Albon is just, there's no, like I've always said about being under the Red Bull banner, you have so much pressure underneath you. You do not perform, they will cut you. That's it. There's no ifs, ands, or maybes. You do not perform, they'll cut you. That's what happens with Albon. When his first year, it was kind of, a little bit, he showed good potential. He wasn't really performing like they wanted him to support Max. Second year, it was just like, okay, you know what? Sorry, man. This is it. You're done. You're out of here. And now that he's at Williams, it's like there's no more pressure anymore. There's no pressure for the team to win. There's no pressure for, yes, the team wants to finish in the points. That's really his only pressure. Have a good enough performance to finish in the points. And if they don't, it's like, okay, that was a good try.
I mean, 2 out of 5 so far is not bad. Right?
Exactly. So he's driving with confidence. He's driving with ease on his mind. And he's just having fun now. You can see when he's driving around and, he's battling guys. He's getting into his own race. And he's doing his own thing. And it's coming out on top right now. So, well, not on top, but, for Williams.
For them. Yeah, totally.
So he's doing really well. And you can't take that from him. And he just looks comfortable. Like, he just looks like he's at home. He's smiling again. Every weekend you see him now, he's smiling. When he was with Red Bull, it was like he was so stressed. He was just like in his own little area. He didn't look like, this is an Albon that if I was a friend of Albon, that I would be like, yeah, look, he's back now, right? If I knew Albon from Red Bull days, I would have thought, who is this guy? Yeah. And then now it looks like he just smiles, he's laughing, he's walking around the pits, just enjoying life. Yeah, exactly. Doing
Not
fun
that
things.
I have any to die, but hey, man. Stroll. We've said it before, we've defended him.
Yeah.
And then we've also been pretty tough on him because he's done some stupidness from time to time. In all seriousness, but we give credit where credit's due. We're Canada's F1 podcast. We love to discuss our Canadians in good lights, of course. Pete got points, and overall, it was a good weekend. He had a good qualifying.
It's a good couple weekends for Aston Martin. Period. It's Vettel would have been there if there wasn't for the contact with Mick. But hey, I think the Aston Martin's on its way up to the middle of the pack again instead of being a back runner. And it was a rough start for them. But it's good to see that Lance has kind of looks like he's just kind of found his own in the car now, and he's starting to get a little bit more comfortable. And when you do have such a strong teammate, it's going to help you a lot to get on pace with everyone. But I honestly think it was a great showing from him. Can't take anything from him. He was consistent. He stayed out of trouble. He was in battles the entire time. It wasn't like he was in the middle of two packs. He was literally in a battle. The
Aston
time.
Martin seems to always just be in a 4-car battle, whatever, because that happens in the broadcast. Like we were saying, one step away from WWE, it's like who's winning, and there's always gaps there. But anywhere from like P8 to P14, there's always like
a
2 sets of 4 cars, and they're going. That's pretty much how Mick and Seb ended up coming together. Like, fighting for points at the end of the race, you know what I mean? But overall, I would have to say kudos to Lance Stroll, Aston Martin on a great weekend. I mean, unfortunate what happened to Seb in the end, but he had a great last outing as well in Imola. So we look forward to see if
he started from pit lane too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So we look forward to see if they can kind of push up towards the middle of the midfield, if not the top of the midfield, by the end of the season. It is time for overwhelmed, underwhelmed, and surprise.
So underwhelmed, I gotta go with Leclerc. I thought he would have had something for him, like for Max. He kind of got past and just sat within that 2-second range for a while, and even when he was in the DRS, they didn't really have anything. I just thought he would perform a lot, at least brought something for him. It just seems like that strength that the Ferrari had at the first race and the second race, is kind of starting to kind of plateau where the Red Bull keeps getting stronger. And I hope they can turn it around.
Well, it's interesting because outside of the 2 DNFs that the Red Bulls has, Max has won every race.
Yeah.
So who's to say that, maybe not round 1?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree. I was, because we talk about the car, the Red Bull is just fast and just straight. And even with the DRS, the Ferrari just wasn't able to get there. He was never really close enough during those final 10 laps or the race for that matter. So you're going underwhelmed. All right. Who's overwhelming?
Overwhelming? Well, I want to say Mick, because I was so happy for him if we erased the last 5 laps.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I was just like...
He was having a good weekend.
He had such a great weekend. He could have finished in the top 8, and that's huge points for him. He's one of the only guys that hasn't scored points yet, so I was so happy, and I was cheering for him, and I was just like, come on. And then the contact happened, which
he says was his corner.
Yeah, which...
wasn't quite his corner.
It wasn't quite there. It
Okay.
wasn't quite there.
Fair
but,
enough.
Vettel, I think Vettel could have left a little bit more room. Like, he didn't have to go straight to Apex, but Mick really shouldn't have been there.
Right.
So yes, I will give a 75-25% fault fee to Mick there.
Yeah. Hire this guy.
Yeah.
All right. He'll set you straight in the rooms, in the boardrooms there, right?
Yeah. Surprised, I'm going to go with Bottas. Like, that the Alfa Romeo is like... Honestly, if he didn't make that mistake, he had a top 5.
Yeah, but I think he was gonna get him.
Yeah,
you never know.
I think because Russell had to get by Lewis twice, I think that would have gave that buffer to Bottas.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, yeah, okay.
And I think that would have given maybe he would have went 6th, but
I was literally just waiting to see him get got. And
but the whole race, Lewis stepped off the corner.
That corner was tricky, man. I mean, it's coming at the end of the fastest straightaway.
Yeah.
I see. There were, the reason Norris ended up getting mixed up is because I don't know what happened to Gasly.
Yeah.
Gasly was all the way off track there.
Yeah.
And then, it almost looked like he didn't have no hydraulic for the steering.
It seemed like when he got hit there by, I think it was Meg?
Might have been, yeah.
It was Meg.
It was one of the Hasses. It was a weird kind of.
He got hit in the rear.
It was a whole mix-up for him, and it just got from bad to worse, and then Norris ended up on.
This is gonna aggravate me. Who was the one that hit Gasly? Vettel.
Maybe it was yesterday, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I might have been taking a nap at that point. Here we are. We're trying to prop up. Yeah. We're trying to prop it up. Yeah. We love talking F1 stuff, and we do the best with what we're given. But let's be honest.
Yeah.
We're looking at 2 snooze fests in a row.
Yeah. We gotta get a good one coming up.
We have to get a good one. But I agree with you. It's not. I mean, surprise. Yes, you're surprised, but I'm not surprised because I knew Bottas wouldn't hold it. I just knew.
I just think Bottas being in the top 5 for the entire race up to the last
Yeah.
Again, 6-7 laps was surprising.
No malice. I got nothing but love for Bottas. I think he's a talented driver. I just don't put him in high pressure scenarios.
Yeah, I agree.
There are guys like that throughout the grid.
Oh yeah,
we were just talking about Albon. You put him in a pressure cooker environment, they just can't perform.
Yeah,
but anyhow, that brings us to the end of another race weekend, Canada's F1 podcast. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share. All of that stuff on YouTube helps us out, and we appreciate it big time. And not to mention, if you want to take us on the go, we are available on the DSP's digital streaming platforms. Wherever you get your podcast, just search Another Race Weekend. Will pop up. Give us a like. Give us a comment over there as well. Help the algorithms out. We got Spain coming up in a couple weeks, which is probably a good thing because you're going to be a busy man this weekend.
Yes. I'm... The past couple weeks have been pretty busy, but this weekend's going to be very, very busy for us. We're looking forward to the first big regional race of the year. We've been averaging 160 entries per race so far, so I think...
Club level.
So I'm hoping, this weekend we can jump over 200, maybe 250 if we could, for the regional stuff, and have a lot of people come out and watch. Spectators are welcome now, finally, after the past 2 years.
And that's the beautiful thing.
Yeah.
That is the beautiful thing. Like, we were racing this weekend, and how many entries did we have this weekend?
175.
175 for a club race, and literally from you turn into the kart
paddock,
track.
Yeah.
Rows. Like, if you didn't get there the night before, you have nowhere to park.
Yeah, you were parking in the back 40.
Yeah, but you know what? It is great to see because these are the grassroots. These are the building blocks of the sport. The next Formula One driver could be lapping at most sports. So once again, if you enjoyed the podcast, like, subscribe, share. If you're trying to get out on track, reach out to Daryl Timmers. We tag him in all the stuff that goes up, so social media is a great way, or you can just go mosportkartingcenter.com. All the information is there.
Or come to the track.
Just
come
show
on
up.
Out to the
just
track,
show
check
up.
it out, see the karts, see a big races this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So if you got nothing to do on Saturday and Sunday and you want to see some racing on an off F1 weekend,
there you go.
Come on down to Mosport Karting Center and check out the MRF KC race.
Appreciate it, DT. We'll be back after the Spanish Grand Prix. It is another race weekend.